Shalom, all your praises to Yahweh Shema Shai, Shema Kakadash, and double on send out of the apostles of great ones on the truth, and peace, blessing, and salutations to the whole full elect. And I got this article. It says Turkey unveils its first intercontinental ballistic missile. Basically this. It says Turkey has unveiled a prototype of an intercontinental ballistic missile on ICBM as part of a push to become self-reliant and to gain a foothold as a key defense player in the Middle East and among its NATO allies. The ICBM named Uzurimhan, meaning lightning. That's funny, lightning, you know. The missile's called lightning. There's a scripture about that as well. Going to take Esau down. Yeah, Luke 10 and 18. It says, and he said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. Was he losing his power? So as it says, that's we believed. There's the Rimhan, meaning lightning in Turkish, and developed by the Defense Ministry Research and Development Center, was on the lives. Not unveiled on Tuesday at the Sahara 2026 Defense and Aerospace Exhibition at the Istanbul Expo Center. He said, why is this ICBM model significant? And what does it mean for Turkey defense industry? He says, here's what we know. What do we know about the Yildirim missile, and why is it significant? Too many flies, man. Yildirim has a range of 600 km or 6,000 km or 3278 miles, according to the Federation of American Scientists. Ballistic missiles with a range exceeding 5.5 kilometers or 5.5 kilometers, roughly 3418 miles, are classed as ICBMs. If launched from Turkey, I'm gonna call it the Y. The Y will be able to hit targets across Europe, Africa, and Asia. Second address 16 and 13. It says, for strong is his right hand that bendeth the bow. His arrows that he shooteth are sharp, being his missiles they are sharpshooters, and shall not miss when they begin to be shot into the ends of the world. Meaning they're highly accurate. And it says they can be shot from the end into the ends of the world, from one continent to another. Continuing on, it says, according to the Turkish news agency Anadolu, the ICBM's maximum speed is Mach 25, which is 25 times the speed of sound. It has 4 rocket propulsion engines and is fueled by liquid nitrogen peroxide. Its warhead has a payload capacity of 300 kg, not 300, it's 3000 kg. Going back to the book of Joel. It is a fire devour before them, and behind them a flame burneth, in the land of the Garden of Eden. The land is as the Garden of Eden before them, those sons of beauty, and behind them a desolate wilderness. Yea, and nothing shall escape them. So everything's going to be burnt up. The appearance that I've done is as the appearance of horses, and as horsemen shall they run. When the noise of chariots over the tops of mountains shall they leap, and the noise of a flame on fire that devours the stubble, and the strong people sat in battle array. That's why they're known as horses and horsemen. It's the Lord's army. He said, before their face the people shall be much pain, all faces shall gather blackness. They shall run like mighty men, they shall climb the wall like men of war, and they shall march every one on his ways, and they shall not break their ranks. And also the wall being the wall being their defense system. So it's saying it's going to bypass the wall, meaning it's going to bypass its defenses. It says, neither shall one thrust another, they shall walk everyone on his path. Meaning that they're going to be, when they set off the guide, they're not going to fly into each other's paths. So it says, neither shall one thrust another, they shall walk everyone in his path. And when they fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded. The anti-air defense missile systems. They shall run and to and fro in the city. They shall run upon the wall. They shall climb upon the houses. They shall enter into the windows like a thief. You see, the fire gonna be everywhere, basically. The earth shall quake before them. The heavens shall tremble. The sun and the moon shall be dark. And stars shall withdraw their shining. And go into the mushroom cloud. It says that the Lord shall utter his voice before his army, for his camp is very great. for his camp is very great, for his strong and execute his word. For the day of the Lord is great and very terrible, and who can abide it? And no one's able to abide it. That's why the Lord has to save his elect. It's a Turkey. It's a Turkey has not begun the production of the missile yet. Addressing the exhibition in Istanbul on Tuesday, Defense Minister Gula said in the era where economic cost has become an asymmetric weapon, Turkey offers its allies not only weapon systems, but also technology and a sustainable security economy. A butterfly. You're so fast. I'm in there, then over here, then back over there, and then the flow of the house. It's a Turkey offers its allies not only weapon systems, but also technology and a sustainable security economy. Experts say the launch of the Turkish ICBM is significant for a number of reasons. And let's go to Ezekiel. Ezekiel 38 and 5. It says Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. And Goldman, all his bands, which this is Turkey, the house of the Togama of the North Quarters, and all his bands, and many people with thee. It says, be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company, go into friendship, allies, thou assemble unto thee, and be thou God unto them. So yeah. And this is Oscar, Regional Director at the German Marshall Fund of the United States think tank, told Al Jazeera, in my view, Turkey does not need ICBMs to deter any immediate security threat it is facing. Therefore, it is not the ICBM but the capability to produce it that is significant for Turkey. Burak, an Istanbul-based security and defense analyst, said the design of an ICBM was indirectly important for Turkey's civilian space launch efforts, specifically the Delta V program, which is entirely civil and commercial in mandate and aims to place Turkish satellites into orbit using the country's own rockets. The physics of reaching orbit and the physics of intercontinental ballistic missiles or ballistic trajectory are closely related. The technology overlaps. In that sense, an ICBM class capability is a natural, if politically consequential derivative of a serious space program. space program. So essentially, they think they're going to fight against the Lord. And even then, the Lord said he was going to destroy them. He said that said we should be precise about what we actually unveil at the Saha 2026, a concept presented in mock-up form. There are no confirmed flight tests. Technical specifications remain limited, and critical subsystems have not been publicly accounted for in any consistent detail. Even the most likely future test facility, a base in Somalia, has not been yet constructed. This is an announced ambition, not a fielded capability added. This is Alabaka, Abakeo, a senior go away. Flies. This is Ali Bakr, a senior non-resident fellow at the Middle East Council on Global Affairs, said the prototype marks a breakthrough for Ankara. This development symbolizes a leap in its missile capabilities and technological advancement, enabling Turkey to join the exclusive ranks of a handful of countries possessing such advanced defense technologies, he told Al Jazeera. Furthermore, the milestone underscores Ankara's commitment not only to enhance its military power and defensive capabilities, but also to strengthen its deterrence, positioning itself as a key ultra-regional power, Bakir added. He said, whilst Turkey developed the why, the unaliving, no, the for me. The unveiling of the new missile comes amid serious tensions in the Middle East, while a fragile ceasefire between the warring sides in the US-Israel war on Iran. You see, US and Israel war together, basically saying that together, holds following 6 weeks of strikes. A naval battle is playing out in the Gulf as Tehran continues to block the Strait of Hormuz, and the US enforces a naval blockade of Iranian ports. Meanwhile, Israel continues to violate ceasefires reached in Lebanon and the Gaza Strip. In March, when Iran was retaliating against the US-Israeli strikes while attacking the US military assets and infrastructure in the Middle East, Ankara reported that NATO's air defense shot down ballistic missiles fired towards Turkey on March 4th and 9th. Tehran denied firing any missiles at Turkey and suggested Israel could be behind them as acts of sabotage. And here's a cool video. It says in February, just days before the US-Israel war on Iran began, former Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett oh my god. So much flies, man. Flies and bees. This is it. In February, just days before the US-Israeli war on Iran began, former Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett, his party is projected to do well in the national election this year, was the latest prominent politician to declare Turkey a threat to Israel. He said politician to declare Turkey a threat to Israel. Speaking at a conference, Bennett said Israel must not turn a blind eye to Turkey, accusing it of being part of a regional axis similar to the Iranian one. The new Turkish threat is emerging. Bennett said, "We must act in different ways, but simultaneously, against the threat from Tehran and against the hostility from Ankara." Other Israeli politicians have made similar comments at the past few months. Turkey, which has been seen as growing consider to other regional powers, including Saudi Arabia and Egypt, and strongly criticized Israel's genocidal war on Gaza, as well as violence inflicted on Palestinians in the occupied West Bank by Israeli soldiers, or should I say Israeli settlers, often with support from Israeli forces. While Israel has an openly antagonistic relationship with Iran since the 1979 Islamic Revolution, Israel-Turkey relations have taken a look at that. Flag on me. He said, while Israel has had an openly antagonistic relationship with Iran since the 1979 Islamic Revolution, Israel-Turkey relations have taken a more pragmatic line. However, since coming to power in the early 2000s, Turkish President Recep has been increasingly critical of Israel. The blood-stained genocide network continues to kill innocent children, women and civilians without any rule of principle, ignoring all kinds of human values. Erdogan said about Israel while addressing an intercontinental international conference in Istanbul in April. Bakir told Al Jazeera the fears around Israel are the main factor behind the development of an ICBM, and the timing and nature of Turkey's advances with ballistic missiles are clearly intended to send messages to both allies and adversaries, including to an increasingly hegemonic, expansive, and aggressive Israel. Because this is making Israel afraid. Yeah. Jeremiah 49 and 20. It says, therefore hear the counsel of the Lord. They are taken against Edom and his purposes. They are purpose against the inhabitants of Timon. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out, being Israelis. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. So there you go. The Lord wants to make them desolate. So this development aligns with the long-term vision of the Justice and Development Party and President Erdogan to reduce the reliance on foreign defense equipment, increase self-sufficiency, and establish a robust domestic defense industry that meets global standards. He said, this initiative aims to address national needs, strengthen the country's strategic autonomy, and tackle regional and international threats to Ankara national security and interests. This policy is protective rather than or reactionary. Bakir added. The why. The Istanbul-based security analysis said Israel demonstrated willingness to conduct deep strikes across the Middle East, including against state actors. It's not gone unnoticed in Ankara. as the last word was. Yes, Turkey and Israel have no formal conflict, but their strategic interests have diverged sharply, and the political relationship has deteriorated significantly in recent years. When Turkey officially speaks of systems capable of reaching distances, reaching distance targets, the geography speaks for itself, he said, reducing the unaliving of the ICBM and the unveiling of the ICBM to a Turkey-Israel dynamic would be too narrow. Turkey is simultaneously managing a post-war Syria on its border as an unresolved situation in the eastern Mediterranean, ongoing tensions with actors in Iraq, and coincidentally, it recently experienced ballistic missiles fired from the Iran being intercepted by NATO assets over its territory. Turkey is enriched, well, not encircled by instability, and is drawing the conclusion that abstract alliance guarantees and insufficient once hard sovereign deterrence, he added. The white announcement, he said, is less about specific threat and more about Turkey declaring that it intends to be a kind of country that cannot be coerced by anyone from anywhere. According to Turkey Daily News, unveiling the ICBM, the defense minister said the recent conflicts, such as Russian war on Ukraine and US-Israel war on Iran, have had an impact on the global security scenario. These conflicts and wars have provided every critical data for security doctrine, while also increasing our responsibilities, Gullah said. To General Marshal von, I'm gonna call him you, said the volatility in the region and direct and indirect security changes. Security challenges Turkey is facing as a result of the main reasons for enhancing its military capabilities. Other factors that should be considered are Turkey's commitment as NATO ally to increase its defense spending to 5% of its GDP, export-oriented defense industrial policy, using defense cooperation as a tool of diplomacy, and using the defense industry as a catalyst to upgrading the technological intensity of its overall industrial production, he added. So in June last year, leaders from the 32-member military bloc pledged to allocate up to 5% of their gross domestic product, or GDP, to defense and related sectors by 2035. describing the move as a quantum leap in collective security. The pledge was made in a NATO summit, and Munich agreed in The Hague, and US President Donald Trump, he was repeatedly pushed for a higher NATO defense spending commitment, took credit for the shift.
Turkey's defense ministry says it will not hesitate to act if its airspace or land is threatened. The comments come after a missile was downed. In a statement, the ministry said a ballistic missile launched from Iran and detected heading towards Turkey was intercepted and neutralized by NATO air and missile defense systems. No casualties or damage were reported. Turkish institutions began monitoring the incident immediately. Ankara emphasized its capability and determination to protect national airspace and border security while warning that further escalation in the region must be avoided. Sinem Kasyoglu joins us now from Istanbul. What more can you tell us, Sinem?
Well, yes, as you have mentioned, this is the second missile fired from Iran that was intercepted in the Turkish airspace by the NATO air defense and missile systems. And we heard from Turkish Defense Ministry as soon as this incident happened, saying that the debris fell on a vacant land in Gaziantep, a southeastern Turkish city by the Syria border. The Defense Ministry warned that Turkey emphasizes the importance of the friendly relationships between the neighbors. However, when there's a hostile attack, Turkey would respond, and Turkish warnings should be heeded in this regard. So basically, Turkey says Iran is our neighbor. We have good relations. We have been very good so far. And even on Saturday, when the Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan was asked about these missiles and also the missiles that were intercepted over Nahchivan in southern Azerbaijan, he again underlined the brotherly, friendly neighborhood between the two countries. And Iran, he said, Iran tried its best in terms of negotiations and for peace. This is what we have confidence in. But any hostile attack would be responded. So this is the second missile that reached Turkish airspace. The first one was denied by the Iranian side. They said it wasn't targeting Turkey. Probably we will hear the same about the second missile, as they have mentioned that the Iranian side mentioned that they haven't they haven't aimed at Azerbaijan or Nahchivan on purpose. The missiles that were fired that reached Nahchivan, but this is reaching to a critical point. This sounds like as if the western side of the Middle East is coming to a brink, and if these number of accidents go higher, the Turkish side might respond in a different way. But for now, Turkish side is trying to act calm because they know that Turkey also tried to mediate the talks between Iran, Israel, and United States. Turkish side wants to be constructive, but if a third missile again accidentally hits launched from Iran, the response might be different. But many hope that this tension in Iran and in the surrounding region doesn't go to that end. Back to you.
Thank you, Sinem. Sinem Kasyoglu there joining us from Istanbul.
Just how significant is Turkey's military force? Turkey is home to NATO's second largest standing army and has emerged as a notable weapons exporter. It has sought military self-sufficiency for some time, a gradual process that sought to establish the Defense Industry Development and Support Administration Office, Sargeb, in 1985. For years, Sargeb focused on international collaboration and research and development, whereas Turkey came off against restrictions on what weapons it could buy and how it could use them. It switched to local production. In the 2010s, it started focusing on domestic design, resulting in a huge increase in domestic domestic defense production. The Y noted that with the announcement of the Y, so the guy called Y is announcing the announcement of his missile. Ankara can demonstrate that its military reach extends well beyond its immediate neighborhood. By associating itself with ICBM-class systems, Turkey is communicating that it sees itself as a global actor, one capable of finding partners and projecting relevance in regions far beyond its traditional strategic hinterland. The message is less about the missiles itself today and more about the kind of power Turkey believes it is becoming, he said. He noted that Turkey's broader defense expansion is also driven by a logic that predates any signal regional. That was a wasp. For decades, Ankara has heavily depended on foreign suppliers, primarily the United States and Western Europe, for its For decades, Ankara was heavily dependent on foreign suppliers, primarily the United States and Western Europe, for its most it's annoying me, this is. Their foreign suppliers, primarily the United States and Western Europe, for its most critical military systems. The common drive toward indigenous capability is at its core. A sovereignty project, they added. Moreover, Turkey is a critical ally in NATO's southern flank and pivotal in securing the Black Sea Mediterranean connection through the Turkish Straits. Therefore, a stronger Turkey means a stronger NATO, he added. It says today thousands of Turkish defense manufacturers span land, air and naval capabilities, something which is beginning increasingly recognized internationally. According to local media reports, the country's defense and aerospace exports reached an all-time high of $10.05 billion in 2025, believed to be the most famous Turkish unmanned aerial vehicle. reached 10.5 billion in 2025. It is believed to be the most famous Turkish unmanned aerial vehicle, or the UAV. Bayraktar TB2 is one of the most widely bought Turkish defense products. According to Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, Turkey's main customers during 2021 up to 2024 were the United Arab Emirates, Pakistan, and Qatar. As for its most famous exports, to Qatar, medium altitude, long endurance drone has reportedly been exported to at least 31 countries, including Iraq, Ukraine, Kenya, Bangladesh, and Japan. And that's the end of the article. So essentially, Turkey is going to Turkey is basically going to turn on Israel. Essentially, that's what you're going to see. Turkey will turn on Israel and destroy it. Well, yeah, man. Let us see. Let us see what the Lord does. But yeah, I hope this was edifying. I'm going to give praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Shema, Shai, Bashem, Kakadash, and Shalom.